Hey, how about the playoff picture as we head into Week 17? Elliot Harrison here. And if the playoffs started today in the NFC, you see right there, the Cowboys would be the first seed. The Falcons would be the second seed. In the wild card round, you'd have Detroit going at Seattle. And you'd have the New York Giants at Green Bay. Interesting, because a lot of people thought it was going to be the Lions or the Packers and that you couldn't possibly have both. And actually, that's not the case. Now, as far as the other conference, the AFC, you see New England, top seed, no surprise there. The Raiders are your second seed right now, but unfortunately, we've all heard about the Derek Carr news. So what will Matt McGloin be able to do in Denver? Sixth seed, Miami Dolphins would be at Pittsburgh, who's locked into the 3 seed. And Kansas City would be at Houston, who has won the AFC South already. So with that, we've got a bunch of games to sort out. Actually, 8 big ones with playoff implications. We're going to go through it right now. And I tell you what, this game is interesting to me because when you think about it, the Giants have had some real stinkers in Washington. And if the Redskins win, they're in. Now, the Giants don't really have a lot to play for, so that means Washington should win, right? But you just never know with these two opponents, the way they play each other. Take the game we're showing you video of right here. The Giants had this game. They could have won it in just dumb plays, crazy interception at the end. You just never know what's going to happen when the Giants and Redskins lock up. So even though Washington wins and they're in, I wouldn't just assume that Washington's going to win and be in. Okay, let's go to another team that's hard to figure. The Detroit Lions, who have had so many games come down to the fourth quarter this year. Obviously, that was not the case Monday night in Week 16 in Dallas. But they'll be facing the Packers at home in a do-or-die game. Now, if you remember the last time these two teams faced off, what you're seeing right here, Packers got up to a big lead, and Detroit came roaring back in the second half. Get it? The Lions roaring back? You're welcome. Marvin Jones had 200 in that game. I don't know that he's had 200 since. And, of course, don't forget the last time these two teams linked up in Detroit. That was the Rodgers to Rodgers Hail Mary game. That was crazy. So Green Bay and Detroit for the NFC North, but both teams could still make the playoffs. Okay, Saints and Falcons. These teams have also played some wild games over the years, games where the coaches didn't trust their defense. I remember when Mike Smith went for it on 4th down on his side of the field a few years ago. Obviously, Dan Quinn is a different style head coach, and the way the Falcons are playing this year is a little different. What's not different is they still can't lean on their defense, and that's really going to be the key. But right now, the Falcons are currently number 2. A loss could drop them to 3 or 4. Would like to see Atlanta's defense play better, and they're going to have a test against Drew Brees, who's been really hot. First last week and then against Arizona the week before. Okay, Seahawks Niners. If San Francisco wins, they're in the top 5 in next year's draft. Seattle could still move to the number 2 seed. Worst case scenario, they drop to number 4. A couple things would have to happen there. But right now, Seattle wants to win this game, not only for playoff positioning, but for the sheer fact that they didn't play well against Arizona. And a few weeks ago, they didn't play well against Green Bay. So while this may be a, quote, easy matchup, it is a road game. And the Pete Carroll-Chip Kelly dynamic adds a little something to it. Okay, let's go to the AFC and look at Patriots Dolphins. Now you think, well, the Patriots are a better team than Miami. Yeah, but New England is the number 1 seed. And last year, New England went into Miami and lost. They have had some tough games in Miami over the years. They just have not played as well down there as they have when they faced the Dolphins up in New England. What's at stake here? Patriots, worst case scenario, they could fall to number 2, although that doesn't look like that's going to happen. Miami could move up to number 5, and the reason I say that I don't think the Patriots are going to fall to number 2 is because I don't think the Patriots are going to fall to number 2. How about that? All right, Raiders, Broncos. Oakland could get number 1 if the Patriots lose and they win, but the reason I don't think that's going to happen is because you have a backup quarterback facing the Broncos secondary in Denver. I just think it's a lot to ask of Matt McGloin. Not saying it's impossible, but I see the Raiders losing this game, New England being number 1, win, lose, or draw down in Miami. Worst case scenario, Raiders drop to 5, and that's a big drop because that means they get no bye week in the playoffs, which would be huge for any team right now. Okay, let's stay in the AFC West because the Chiefs and Chargers are playing in a game that matters. What's on the line for Kansas City? Well, they could move up to that 2 seed. And again, what would you rather do? Would you rather play next week, or would you rather have a bye, rest your guys, and have an extra week of preparation? Obviously, we know the answer to that. The Chiefs are going to have to win in what could be the Chargers' final game in San Diego. Worst case scenario, Kansas City drops to number 6. But again, the AFC West is on the line. Now, I promised you that 8 games would have playoff scenarios. And if you've been counting, I only gave you 7. So in this cards right here, I've got a draw 2, draw 4, a reverse, a skip. Okay, maybe you never played Uno. I'm old. Did you know that Tampa Bay could still make the playoffs? It is possible, people. They only need about 185 things to go their way, including a Washington tie. But I didn't want you to feel like you were left without that information. This would be a good time for me to tell a dad joke. Instead, I'm just going to leave you with that.